You're listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast, a Texas Tech athletics podcast where food and sports clash at the goal line. Here are your hosts, Spencer and Michael.
All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the 23 Personnel Podcast. I am your host, joined by Michael. Michael, what's up, man?
Yo, it's not quite summer. It feels like summer, but it's not. And it feels like the off season, but it's not. We've got all sorts of stuff to talk about still.
Not technically the off season, but
No,
we are in full off season mode.
we are in off season mode.
April 22nd. Actually, it was 2 weeks ago. What would that have been? The 8th. Yeah, April 8th. We're like, let's jump into our off season schedule. So here we are, going every other week. Because we're busy. We're busy, gentlemen, and there's nothing else going on, right?
Nah, not much to talk about.
We will talk about spring football, the wrap on basketball, and I say wrap like everything's done. It's not done. There's been some movement, but no finality to anything yet. Although the portal window for basketball has closed, football will close here in a couple of days. And what I mean by close, like no one can then enter without extenuating circumstances. Not like everybody has to have a home, but that's happening. Spring game was this past weekend. Talk about our hard-hitting analysis from when Michael and I were there, taking notes, putting in a scouting report, pulling in all of our strings, all of our contacts that are going to all the practices and comparing, hey, what do we see on Saturdays is what's been happening on the daily, all that kind of stuff. I think the biggest thing that we can talk about, Michael, is going to be the updates to the rosters. In, out, basketball, football, men's and women's basketball. I'm not going to read the transcript of ins and outs, the transfer portal around the Big 12, but there are things happening around the Big 12 that I thought I would share. Again, I'm not going to read like every name coming in, every name going out, but there are a couple of intra Big 12 transfers that you should know about, keep your eye on. Teams that are losing big transfer, highly rated transfers, a couple teams that are picking up highly rated transfers. Spoiler alert, the rest of the Big 12 combined matches what Texas Tech has added. So there's that. Then we have a hard-hitting question, Michael. I thought about this. We've probably talked about it before, but I was just drinking out of one of my absolutely favorite cups. I gotta know, do you have a favorite cup or glass? It doesn't have to be cup. I'm a simple man. I like plastic. My favorites typically come from sporting events or kind of obscure restaurants. My favorite's actually a restaurant that's been closed for a decade. And I have 3 of the cups. I'll tell you about them later. But be thinking about that, Michael. You have a favorite cup or glass? Where is it from? And then what do we learn? We had Easter this past weekend. A fantastic opportunity to put on some pounds. I did.
Oh man.
I mean,
me too.
External to the actual reason for the weekend, but a feast. Whether it was Sunday night or all day Sunday with candy or weekend. We had our first egg hunts on Wednesday last week. And then I see that you have a lawn equipment review to give us. So I almost want to start there, but that's not how we do this. We're going to start up at the top, scroll back up, football. 5 minutes in, Michael. Spring practice, the wrap. Spring game was this weekend. Texas Tech won 1-0 on the spring. Did you see that from the official account? Saturday afternoon, they tweeted out Texas Tech wins. I rolled my eyes pretty hard at that. I was like, come on, guys, you're better than that.
the other thing I really enjoyed is from the official website is both sides shine in Texas Tech spring game. Of course they did. That's what you learn in a spring game.
Um, so here are my thoughts, and I'm going to base this off of actually a friend of mine that is close to the program in the sense that he's been attending practices and his professional work gives him or has access to the program. So he's been at several practices. Obviously, like both sides are installing new systems, and when that happens, like the defense tend to be ahead because it was actually defensive coordinator Sheil Wood was talking about in one of his last press conferences, like a cover three is a cover three. Like there's nothing like he was asked about the percentage of his defense that had been installed. He's like 90%. And then he clarifies like, and that means that like the coverages are the same no matter where you go. The fronts are the like you move the fronts a little bit. You talk about blitzes, but like a cover three defense is a cover three defense is a cover three defense. What's different is when we scheme up specific packages or we look at individual strengths of the opponent that we have to kind of be aware of or scheme away. Goal line, blitz packages, those kinds of things are like opponent to opponent. So having said that, like the defense is expected to be ahead, and then you consider all the talent you added in, especially up front. My guy said, he's like, I'm not sure we have an offense yet. I was like, well, you got some things to consider there, but no, for sure. Like the defensive front is just apparently as good as advertised. And David Bailey been on campus for what 2 weeks and already, you know, making tackles work. Love to see that, but I think the offense will come. The same question was asked to Mac Leftwich. He said we're probably 60-65% in terms of install because theirs is a lot more nuanced, right? It's like you can't just give them the whole playbook. It's just a much bigger playbook. But anyways, the other thing that I think we can take out of spring practice is that you had a couple of injuries. Not like devastating injuries, but still some that you're like, well, I would have, obviously would not have wanted that to happen. I think your top two, if not top three receivers by the time the spring game had come around were sidelined, held out for the rest of the spring, expected back this summer, right? With whether it's Virgil or Aiken or Douglas, they all had minor-ish things. I think Douglas had a pin put in like a toe. And that's as uncomfortable as it sounds. But broken bone takes 8 weeks to heal. I mean, 8 weeks from now, we're looking at beginning to think about fall camp. You're in off-season conditioning, but anyways, okay. So Claire, to be clear, I was not at the spring game. I was only joking, Michael, when I said that we were going to give our full analysis. I think our listeners probably were aware of how detailed I was about giving details that like, no, they weren't actually there.
No, and
because it wasn't broadcast. I mean, you couldn't watch it.
No, I wasn't there either. I was cheering on the under 9 girls Queen Bees soccer team.
The official under 9 soccer team of the 23rd Personal podcast.
Yes, who unfortunately had their first loss in our coach. It's years
of his
we did have a couple of draws, I think, over the years, but according to his count, and I believe him because he's pretty meticulous about this, we ended a 47 game winning streak.
Or is it 47 game winning streak or 47 game unbeaten streak?
47 undefeated. That's it.
Well, shoot, that's still impressive, but golly, dude.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
It's good for the girls just to have a little humble pie.
It is. That's how we were that's how we were treating it. And not to go off subject, but this will be really quick. So uh, the coach kind of talked to the girls at the end of the game. He said, "Hey, so there were some of you there was some lack of effort today, not going to the ball, not being where you need to be, and going where you need to go, and just coaching them, but not being mean about it or anything." And so our daughter, who was just seemingly unfazed at all
Good.
about losing the game, which I agree. My wife and I both were like, "Well, that's good, right? That's good." But we were both kind of thinking, "No, there should be a little more to it." So we made the mistake of, like, right before we went to Easter church on Saturday night. So right before we were about to get in the car, we said something like, "Well, what did coach say to you after the game?" And she said what I just said about how, a lot of you weren't in position, and they were just weren't going to the ball like you normally do, just weren't as fast or whatever it was. And then it, like, clicked afterwards, and she said, "Was he talking about me?" and, and it threw us both off so much. We were kind of, well, yes. And then there were tears, and it was like, oh man, we were trying to get in the car. But anyway, good job, Queen Bees. That was why I was not there.
You know what's impressive though? I think you could probably say the same thing to Grayson's baseball team, who are 11, 12-year-old boys. And I don't know if they would have asked, wait, was he talking about me?
Right?
So,
It just threw us off because she's never told us really what he says, and we thought even if she did, it would have just been probably the positive part, because I know him. I know he was probably very positive too about something. We figured that's just what she would have told us, but no, she told us the kind of negative coaching part, and then it just had that dead look, like deer in the headlights. Was he
oh
talking
no.
about me? Well, yeah. Anyway,
He's talking about everybody. I mean,
47 games, 47 undefeated, taken down by the. Oh man, I wish I should remember their name. They played a really good game. They had a girl that was several girls that were especially good. They just had one girl on their bench. We had almost a full roster that day, and they still just took us down 3-1. Supernovas, maybe. Anyway, back to the spring game. Back to Texas Tech football. Sorry.
So, um, I mean, there's not much else that you could really learn from a game like you were there, unless you were there, besides who participated and who played.
I think there were some
Um,
kicking struggles. That's one of the things I caught off of there. I think
and I
Belafont was like 1 for 6 or something like that. I'm not sure. It wasn't great.
yeah, and I think it was I think I caught the post game media availability, and McGuire's like, yeah, that's a surprise. Like the kickers have been really really good up until now. So it's like maybe they were due for a bad day. Maybe the wind was a little bit strange for them. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, it was a beautiful day. It got
Well,
shady in the evening,
yeah. It
but I
was
think they
kind
were
of
done by then.
cold.
But yeah, okay, yeah, it was cold because Sunday was cool but
Sunday was
warmer.
perfect.
Yeah, it was
Sunday
warmer, but
was the most perfect day we've had in quite a while.
it was a pretty nice day today too.
Yeah.
Still got the severe thunderstorm supposedly coming. I can hear it. It hasn't started yet. Um, besides, like I said, besides the health issue of possibly missing a couple guys, um, I mean, positives that nobody was seriously injured. You like to see the young guys kind of flash, especially like a guy like Leighton Stone. Um, local young guy. Talked about coming to spring games all of his life, and now he's finally getting to participate. And then he had that, kind of circus heroic catch where he tips the ball to himself and ends up scoring a touchdown on it. So let's talk portal. Let's talk roster updates. Do we have an official limit of 105? Yes and no. We're still waiting on official word, but the positive there. McGuire said he's got until day before game 1 to figure that out. Obviously, once they get, when they, this was Saturday afternoon when he was given this, they were going to go through their exit interviews, and they were just going to go through probably today, Tuesday or Wednesday of this week, to give, I guess, updates to the players, like, hey, like you're right there in the bubble. We want to hang on to you. Or hey, it's not going to work out here. It's up to you find, somewhere else to be. Or you want X, and we can't promise that. So let's figure out a way we can help you out. So I don't know roster numbers specifically now. I don't know if that's even like accurately updated publicly. But you've seen six guys hit the portal, probably a couple more throughout the rest of this week. Defensive back / athlete Anthony White from Abernathy. 2 offensive linemen, Nick Fattig and Dylan Shaw. Some of that could have to do with Davion Carter getting that JUCO year of eligibility back. Defensive end, outside linebacker Isaac Smith. We did hear a lot of stuff over the winter break that possibly he was heading to OU. That may be just a few months delayed. He may be heading that way now, going back to Oklahoma. And then 2 defensive backs, Jordan Sanford and Devin Cromwell. Sanford had been around for a couple of years and was probably getting close to breaking in, but Cromwell was a transfer that you brought in and just never really seemed to catch on. And when he did get in the games, you're like, I can see why he's not playing more. Unfortunately, I don't want to like dog on him, but and then no other official ends just yet. But you are still hosting guys. You're still reaching out and doing all the things you can. Your last addition was David Bailey, but potentially looking for another kicker, and not because of the spring game issues, but I'd heard through like the locked on guys, it could be a running back, it could be another wide receiver. I don't know how much the Micah Hudson stuff to believe or even want to wade into, but supposedly there's still a chance there for him to come back, transfer back in. Defensive backs, offensive linemen, even from around the conference, but you have ties to. There's a offensive lineman from Colorado that I think is caught some attention. There's 2 defensive backs that are actually 4-star rated transfers coming out of Houston. Obviously, your coordinator has some connections to a safety and a corner. Steve asks, has there been any word on Cam Valdez? No, not officially. He hasn't hit the portal. But that may be one of the reasons why we hear that looking for another running back in the portal. But because this weekend you saw Quentin Joyner, Cam Dickey, and I'm blanking on his name, the little guy.
I think I just had it up here. Hang on.
Oh my gosh. So Valdez was not a part of the 3 is the point I'm trying to make. So, and then the other position I've heard as a potential target in the portal would be a tight end. You've got the tight ends you have on campus. They're not as versatile, I think, as you've seen in that room even last year. You've got some receiving tight ends, and those are fantastic. But you don't have like the do-it-all type guy. And maybe Leftwich doesn't need or want that kind of tight end. We're not even sure yet, but around the Big 12, Michael, there were some notable names, guys that you should be familiar with, hitting the portal, heading to whether in conference or just kind of eyebrow raise, like, oh, he's going to that school. Starting off, we'll just go alphabetical through the schools. Like I said, I'm not going to read the transcript of every guy in or out of the portal, but Arizona all-star defensive back to Cario Davis is heading up to Washington. He was the number one. I think he was a corner, just lockdown guy for them. I think it was a week before the Texas Tech game. I think he had 6 deflections on his own. And then I don't think he had that many deflections. Like it was a game I think he had impact in without it being on the stat sheet, if that makes sense. Like he was doing well enough in coverage that the ball was not going his way. So big loss for them going out of the conference. Love that though. Moving over to Baylor, there were a lot of movement of Baylor, mainly because the guys like were more familiar with their roster. So running back Richard Reese headed to SFA, Stephen F. Austin. Thought that was interesting. Running back Dominic Richardson, I believe this is the same that transferred in out of Oklahoma State. So in Oklahoma State, Baylor, now he's heading to New Mexico State. They gained the commitment from defensive back Calvin Simpson Hunt, if you remember, was committed to Texas Tech a long time ago. Ended up on the radar for Ohio State. Ended up there for a season and is transferring back to Texas. They lost a quarterback, but then gained a quarterback, Daquan Finn, transferring to Maryland, but then picked up Walker White from Auburn. And I mentioned Walker White, like you're like, who's that? He's a 4-star rated transfer quarterback. So they're adding not just a body, but a dude. Staying in the state, we're going to look over at Houston. They lost wide receiver Manjack, if you remember him. He's headed to TCU.
Ooh, don't like to see that.
Hate that.
Don't like the in-state transfer. Yes, I do remember him.
And like I said, they're losing 2 4-star rated transfers from the defensive secondary, AJ Halsey and Jeremiah Wilson. We'll see if there's any kind of connection or ties there between Wood and those guys, if they want to even play for Tech or if there's an interest there. But Iowa State picked up a transfer wide receiver from UCF, Xavier Townsend. That name should be familiar. He was pretty good for the Knights. Kansas picked up a West Virginia linebacker, Trey Lathan. Again, that name should be familiar. He's been a starter for the Mountaineers. Man, it's got to be tough to be a Mountaineer fan these days, Michael. Basketball and football rosters just absolutely gutted with their coaching transitions. And the last one of note, Kansas State picked up the transfer wide receiver from Boston College via Texas Tech, Jerran Bradley.
So he's back in the conference.
He's back, baby.
Okay. Does Texas Tech? Hang on, let me roll up.
I'm looking. Well, hold on. Yeah, we have the schedule like two.
Yes.
We do
at
play them.
Kansas State.
November 1st.
November
Kansas
1st
State.
in Manhattan. Yeah.
So he'll be well established at that point, and then probably showing out by that point in the season. So.
And Texas Tech plays Baylor?
No, we don't play any.
We don't play them this year.
We don't play any in-state conference games.
Houston.
You're right. Sorry, we don't play TCU. We don't play TCU or Baylor. I don't know why I said in-state. We don't play TCU or Baylor.
I like how you could take that out of context as if that's just your rule. That's just what we do here. We don't play TCU or Baylor.
I like playing.
Some people live their life a quarter mile at a time. Spencer just does not play TCU or Baylor.
Competitively, or at least regional interest-wise, I like playing them.
Oh, sure.
I wish, especially with TCU, that we beat them more than we do.
We should. I don't know what's.
You had it last year, man. I don't. Okay. We talked about roster. This is projecting a little bit. As much as we've been keyed in on the transfer portal, you can still add high school guys. You can still recruit and add high school guys. So I pulled up the high school commitment list, Michael, and let me tell you, besides the name I read off 2 weeks ago, or names, I hadn't heard of anybody on this list. That's how like out of touch of high school recruiting I was. I'm gonna read through this list really quickly, just because it's like Tyson Ajayawoko, defensive end. Aiden Johnson, defensive line. Crush Johnson, defensive line from Amarillo.
Ooh,
Love the name.
sweet.
Stephen Cannon is a quarterback we talked about last time from Georgia. Aaron Bradshaw out of Fort Worth. He's an athlete. Cord Nolan, a linebacker from Oklahoma. Cornerback from Pflugerville, Maddox Quiller. Gerald J.J. Mays coming out of Pflugerville, lineman. Noah Lewis from Terrell, cornerback. And then Luke Bell, cornerback from New Braunfels. So, bunch of guys I'd never heard of. Anything else about football before we get over to basketball, Michael?
Just real quick.
Or you want to talk
on
about soccer
to
too? I mean, that's football.
yes, we have a quick soccer update. The schedule was released since we last recorded, and there will be, let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 home games this year. At least 9. There's a possibility of adding another home game October 4th. So, long story short, exhibitions starts August 7th. They'll head up to Denver for that. I'm not going to read off every game, but I'll just read off the home games. And the first home game that is on the schedule, at least, is August 17th versus Youngstown State. And Texas Tech will go on to host SMU, Utah State, Houston, Oklahoma State, Kansas, TCU, Kansas State, and UCF. So there's a stretch there where they play 3 home games in a row: Oklahoma State, Kansas, TCU. That's October 2nd, 5th, and 10th. TCU was the best team of the conference last year, and it's really key that this team has TCU at home. We'll see what this team can put together. But after that stretch, they go on the road for a three-game road stretch, and then they don't come back until the 26th of October, and then they finish against UCF on the 30th of October. So soccer schedule is out. Always something I look forward to with my daughter. She's already asking about when she can go. When does the season start? She's been going to the soccer camp at Texas Tech, and they're apparently playing. You know, they're playing some spring ball right now, but it's not really publicized when and where until kind of after it's over. So she was asking, well, when's the game this weekend? I was like, well, one, you have a game this weekend, so we can't really make it. But she's oh, I just wish I could go watch them. I was like, well, you'll be able to. Don't worry. The schedule just came out. And when she listens to this podcast, because she's an avid listener, she'll be thrilled to hear the schedule.
There you go. Do you know why there's a possibility for adding that 10th game? Is it like a tournament, or
I'm not sure.
Like a play-in type game, or is it just like we're just throwing the possibility around of having a 10th game at home?
Yeah, well, it doesn't even indicate if it's at home or not. You know, it's opponent location, both are TBD for that August 14th spot. It could be another exhibition. I do believe a lot of times they'll have more than one exhibition game before the season starts, so they may just be trying to schedule one in and get somebody to come to Lubbock. But yeah, the first home game on the schedule at least is the 17th, but it could be the 14th by the time it's all said and done. We'll see.
All righty. All right, let's talk basketball, Michael. Let's do it.
Yes.
I think the roster is a place to start. Ins and out, portal wise. Since we last talked, the transfer portal has been very kind to Texas Tech. You have, well, let's see. We recorded last on the 8th.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that was the day we got official word from Christian Anderson. On the 9th, we got JT Toppin to say he's coming back. You also announced the signing of Santa Clara guard Tyree Bryan. A week later, you announced the signing of Washington State forward Lawan Watts. Over the weekend or before the weekend, early weekend, late last week, you gained the commitment from Villanova forward Josiah Mosley, and then you announced the signing of UNCG guard Donovan Atwell. So that's your transfer class coming in. You've also added a high school player in that last couple of days. Guard Nolan Groves out of Minnesota, who's also the Gatorade Player of the Year, choosing not to stay with the Golden Gophers. I think he was actually previously committed to Penn State too, so just doesn't want to be in Big Ten basketball. I don't blame him. And then on the way out, I say on the portal on the way out, guys that announced their intentions to transfer by entering the portal. Kevin Overton did enter and has committed to Auburn. Unfortunately, Federico has also announced his intention to hit the portal to use his final year of eligibility elsewhere. And then EY, not a surprise, but seeking out some playing time. And then Corbin Green. So
Really pretty stable. I mean, it's not like Baylor where
they lost everybody.
Everybody, and that's not an
Literally
exaggeration.
everybody. Yeah, literally everybody. Despite the, I'm sure people saw through it really quickly. Although I got an ESPN notification of it, so I was like, "Wait, what?" The VJ Edgecombe. I wouldn't call it troll, but the re-edit of his NBA draft announcement, where they just kind of covered up the words NBA draft and said he's returning. But then also, if you look closely at the picture, his head was on backwards. So. But what was interesting was that I did get an ESPN alert that said, "Oh, VJ Edgecombe is coming back." I was like, "Well, that's huge." And then I looked at the post and I was like, "Wait a minute, there's something off with the text there. Why is his head on backwards?" Oh, and then like I looked at the account it was coming from. I was like, "That's a burner. That's a fake account."
Was it Vic Vinegar?
No, but it was like on that kind of level, or like a
Yeah.
Coyote Raider. That dude is not worth your time. Just if you follow him, I'm sorry. I don't have nice things to think about you. If you follow him and give anything he says any ounce of consideration, there.
Is it just a lot of eyeball emojis and speculation?
No, it's like Facebook level trolling,
Oh,
engagement baiting, like ridiculous things that shouldn't, like, people with any kind of media literacy should be able to read through that. But don't.
like those AI articles on Facebook where Grant McCaslin's going to go coach the Dallas Cowboys or something.
Yeah, my mom sent me one the other day. I was like, "Mom,
No.
please don't." All right, and then we talked about a couple guys from around the Big 12 in terms of transferring, Pop Isaacs and then Obioha. Obioha. I can't believe I still have trouble with his name. I can say it perfectly in my head or even out loud between recording, but Obioha. Heading to West Virginia. Isaac's going to Houston, but we touched on the Baylor roster being just devastated. I mean, good for Scott Drew. He's getting a complete reset here and build it however you want, I guess. Guard Rob Wright headed to BYU. They are also in the market for paying a huge roster sum. So, although I think most of their roster money is tied up to two players. Texas Tech spread out a little bit. I mean, JT Toppin is obviously commanding quite a bit of money by himself,
And rightfully so.
but that's like I feel more confident giving that dollar figure to a third year college player than even more money to an incoming freshman.
Well, sure, and
I'm just,
to a
I'm just
player who's on his he's on his third year and his second year with you. You
yeah.
know, he's proven that he can do this
Oh, he
just
was also
in the
Big
realm.
12.
But yeah,
Yeah.
he did it as a Red Raider. I mean, that just I don't know. That just screams guaranteed money to me.
Conference player of the year versus incoming freshman.
Yeah.
So Arizona lost a couple of guys. Forward Henry Visar headed to North Carolina, and then KJ Lewis headed to Georgetown. Sorry about you,
Yep.
Arizona.
It's a shame.
So in terms of where that leaves Texas Tech, yes, you did pick up a guard in Nolan Groves, but from what I've heard on the scouting report, he still wouldn't be considered a primary ball handler. And that's not been the MO for the guy you've gone after. Like the past few transfer classes you've seen, and we talked about it, your senior, your old guard that you bring in to lead the offense, um, to allow a guy like Christian Anderson to play off the ball, to play the two. Maybe you can kind of transition Christian Anderson to being your primary ball handler, but like I would still think you want an old guy there, like an old guy, an old head. Like I can't get over like you've had um obviously you had Hawkins this year, you had I always forget his name. Toussaint last year.
Mm-hmm.
Um that kind of guard. Would love an old head. He's got some gray hair, little receding hairline. Bring in a guy like that. And then obviously like Darian Williams still hasn't announced anything. I mean, obviously, there's some a lot of attention being paid to his returning to town, and maybe that was to just have conversations with the coaching staff and whatever. But if he is testing the NBA draft waters, I mean, he's still it's going to come. It's going to come down to June. Um, you would obviously like to have him back. I mean, he's rated as a 5-star transfer. Like, absolutely, do everything you can to bring him back if that's what he wants to do. Um, but if not, like that's another roster spot you got to fill. You got to fill a big. Like you need a Fetty replacement at this point because now you don't have a 7-footer on the roster. Your biggest guy would be a JT Toppin, and that's like we saw him have trouble with size in the tournament. Like you want him to play next to somebody that's a little bit bigger. Well, at least I would. Um, I mean, but also like the size depth would then be a Mariel Kuntak who is injured, and then you've got a bunch of guards.
Mm-hmm.
You got big guards. You got up to 6'5". Oh, sorry, Lawan Watts. Um, but I don't think he's all that big. Is he 6'6"?
Yeah, I'm looking right now. He is. Oh, how do they not have his stats like jumping out at me? I don't know yet. Trying to find it. I clicked the article and it's not there.
6'6", 230.
There you go.
So yeah, I mean, he's listed as a forward. That's more of a position, not necessarily just of his body size. But you have a bunch of guys like you got bigger at guards, but you still need bigs. So yeah,
I'm pretty happy with it. As far as when Anderson announced, I was thrilled, and when Toppin announced, I really didn't think that was possible. I thought it made sense to, because I felt like he could probably, if it just came down to dollars, he could earn as much at Texas Tech in his third year as he could professionally elsewhere. So if that was I just didn't feel like he would be leaving because the money wasn't worth his time. So anyway, I was really thrilled about that, and then everything else that's kind of happened is just kind of gravy, and not seeing a gigantic exodus of guys. I really do miss Overton. I of all the guys that left, I really Fede had some. We give him credit for that comeback in the Sweet 16, uh,
Mhm.
rightfully so. Just single handedly getting 5 rebounds or whatever it was in a row. So I mean, he'll always have a special place for me. But seeing Overton leave, that hurt a little bit because I felt like he was such a spark off the bench and someone who could really get things going and provide a way for this team, which struggled creating their own shots. Overton could do that and get some contact and force people to foul him or get to the lane. So best of luck to him, though. Honestly, I really liked watching him play, but I don't want to say that these guys weren't. Oh yeah, well, I'm not worried about it. They were good for Texas Tech, and I I will miss them not being here. But I'm pretty happy with how much turnover there actually was once it was said and done. And it's not said and done ever, really. I mean, I guess the portal will close at some point, but things happen. Players leave. Players can still just decide not to be on the team. But uh, it's looking good as of April 22nd.
Yeah. So the transfer portal closed April 22nd.
Okay.
So
Well, and
midnight Monday night into Tuesday, you can no longer go into the portal.
there's even some buzz about Elijah Hawkins possibly gaining an additional year of eligibility due to some NCAA rule changes similar to Davion Carter. But I think that's kind of pie in the sky stuff. I'm not counting on that. I would love it, absolutely love it if he could come back. He was uh, Money's talked about it, and he's got the stats to back it up. He was one of the best point guards to ever play for Texas Tech, based off a lot of metrics, and the fact that we got to have him at that point in his career when, like you mentioned, kind of having an older guy out there who just refused to turn the ball over and found open guys and would have that crazy game where he's going to make 5 threes or something here and there. It was he was really a great one to watch, and even if it's like a 2% chance out there in the zeitgeist that he could get another year and that he would want to spend it here, boy, I hope he does. I hope he chooses to.
Yeah. Okay. So speaking of, so we talked about Rob Wright. He's a 5-star rated guard transfer. Um, there is one uncommitted uh, point guard transfer out there in PJ Haggerty coming from Memphis. Originally from Crosby, Texas.
Oh, come home.
Let's see. Yeah, entered the portal on the 17th. Sorry, no. 29th of March. He's been there for a minute. He's been around a little bit. He went to let's see, where did he go first? Those are offers. Hold on. Offers committed enrolled at TCU September of 2022. Entered the portal March of 23, went up to Tulsa, then from Tulsa to Memphis. Now back in the portal. D5. He's still out there, uncommitted. RJ Lewis Jr. I'd give I'd give some money for some RJ Lewis Jr.
Yeah, that would not turn that down.
Strong forward out of St. John's. Also 6'7". Well, I'd say also. D5 is listed at 6'6". RJ 6'7". All right. And obviously, I want to, want a big.
Yeah, too bad. Too bad Visar is already committed.
Yeah, and then there was a UCF center, Mustafa Tiem, 7'2", went from UCF to Cincinnati.
Man, I swear that seems to happen with those schools. Like they just have a gentleman's agreement.
Huzzah!
Yeah. Did it not work for you in Orlando? Come to Cincy.
Come to Cincinnati. Yeah.
We'll trade some
Anyways.
football players later. It's fine.
Yeah.
Well, I've got some Lady Raider updates.
Let's hear them.
So we reported. I'm just kidding. We didn't report. Shavers, Jazz Shavers entered the portal a couple of weeks ago, and since we last recorded, has committed to Florida State. She will absolutely be a loss. I believe she was your high scorer this year and maybe has been the last 3. It's always between her and Maupin. So best of luck to her. Definitely a loss. Kyla Freelon entered the portal. We talked about Logan Johnson committing to West Virginia. And then I just heard on the morning drive this morning that Jada Wynn is supposedly in the portal as well. So it looks like those 4 will be leaving. We have since had confirmation that Bailey Maupin is back. We got the run it back tweet probably about a week ago. So that's huge. That's a good, you still got a good core to build around with her there. And Janae Fritz and Adley Blacklock. I think Sonogo was a senior, but there's still some good players there. I will miss Freelon quite a bit. I don't know if Gerlich was ever really to come up with the best way to use her, but she was an athletic player. Tall, seemed like she could play power forward or forward, either one. I mean, she was kind of used in both positions, so I will miss her for sure. Staff changes, got quite a few here. Ashley Odom and Planette Pearson are gone. They are taking their talents elsewhere. Jordan Vessels and Mitch Vanya are being reassigned to their previous full-time positions, which wasn't really as much of a coaching position, more of a team management type positions. So that's kind of interesting. And so to replace those positions, a couple of new assistant coaches were announced, and I had that pulled up here. So we've got Katara Chappell, and she is coming from Auburn. She was an assistant coach at Auburn for the past 4 years. She graduated after playing at Mississippi State in 2017, so pretty young and obviously kind of an up-and-comer in the coaching field, having only been out of school for 7 or 8 years. So heading over to Auburn. And then we also have, oh, dang it. Hang on. Got it here. Okay, Jada Williams. Jada Williams is coming in from Texas A&M International. She was the head coach there. And Spencer, do you know the mascot of Texas A&M International University?
No. I was going to try to say something.
It is the most West Texas sounding mascot. I'm actually good job to the Aggies. So they were the Dust Devils.
Oh.
So the Dust Devils ranked 3rd in the Lone Star Conference. And they had, I think that was on their turnover rating. The article's written kind of weird. But anyway, Williams comes in with some head coaching experience. Granted, it was just 1 year, but prior to that, she was at Ole Miss as an assistant. And so she's been in the coaching arena for quite a while. She also was the head coach for Carolina or Coastal Carolina and was there for 9 seasons. So I mean, she's got, gosh, 9, 10 years of head coaching experience. So I think that's really going to be useful for Gerlich. That must have been kind of what she was looking for. And we'll see how that works out with Williams on the staff. A couple other player announcements. Jimma Nunez was signed. She is a point guard. Oh my goodness. We actually have an actual point guard instead of forcing one of our guards to play point. So I think I'm really excited to see what she can do with, Fritz getting to play guard and Maupin getting to play guard uh, with this 5'7" point guard from Almeria, Spain. She has shot 35% from the field, almost 36%. And she's got 361 assists in her 3 years there, 131 steals. So had 11 double-figure scoring games, 4 double-digit assist games. She's hopefully going to be a really good player for Texas Tech. And on top of that, we've got Jada Malone. She was announced a 6'3" forward transfer from Texas A&M. She was a 4-star recruit in high school, and she led the team last year with, I think, 63% shooting from the field. So, looking forward to a power forward making their way here and giving the Lady Raiders a boost. So, pretty good core right there. But I would imagine you're going to have some form of uh, Nunez and Malone starting, Maupin obviously, probably Fritz, and I know I'm forgetting people, but I don't know if Blacklock would work into the starting rotation. She could. I kind of thought that was Johnson's chance to work into it if Shavers had gone, but obviously that's not the case anymore. So we'll see where it goes from there. But I'm a little optimistic, and I'm really excited to have a point guard.
I don't think Steve is I don't think he's a believer in Gerlich.
Oh no. Uh-oh.
He says Gerlich just isn't it. She seemed like a good hire at the time, but hasn't met her past success while at Tech.
I think this is the all-in season right here.
Is this
She's
the firing of both coordinators move?
Yeah, she's made huge coaching changes, brought in 2 new coaches, didn't get Chavez. I know that she's getting really kind of dinged for that, but I think Chavez's mind was made up due to Jumpman and Nike being in their lives for the last few years. But I think she knows the seat is quite warm, despite the vote of confidence from the athletic director. So I'm really rooting for him this year. We'll get our season tickets again and see how they can do.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk baseball for a half a second. They're still playing. Not tonight. That game got postponed. Since we've last spoken, they won the home series 2-1 versus Baylor. Lost the road series at Arizona State 2-1. They lost Thursday, Friday, won Saturday, although that Friday game was delayed into Saturday with some weather. And then it's odd to me that they want to schedule around Easter. So they don't play, like they move the conference series up Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But then Texas Tech ends up playing a road game on Monday.
Yeah.
Granted, it was regional, so like they went down to Abilene and played Monday night. So like they could have left lunchtime Monday. That wouldn't have eaten into anything on Sunday. But it's strange that like you don't like everything is made in a sense to give the players Sunday off, but then Texas Tech has been traveling on Sunday to get to a Monday game. So it's like,
Hmm.
what's the point of that? Went down to Abilene Christian ACU Wildcats, Michael's second favorite school. Defeated them 9-2 and did so without any home runs. They were potent without the long ball. And then got a great performance on the mound from freshman pitcher Connor Mohan. But make
Well,
that 2 wins in a row. Saturday the 19th versus Arizona State, and now Monday the 21st.
and Mohan kind of redeeming himself because didn't he start in that New Mexico debacle?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. So good job by you. That's awesome to rebound from that.
You are now 13-23 on the season, 8-10 in Big 12 play. Good for a 3-way tie for 7th with Baylor and Cincinnati. You have a home series this weekend versus Arizona. Midweek next week versus the Vaqueros of UTRGV. And then next weekend, starting into May, gosh, it's already May, on the road at West Virginia, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
I have ticket. I forgot. It's on my calendar. I have a ticket for the Arizona game Sunday.
There you go.
So weather permitting, because who knows? This you look at the weekend. They may be trying to play 2 games Sunday. I think it's going to be these 3 times are going to be all over the place possibly. So hopefully they can get them all in. But
There's forecasted rain for Saturday. Yeah.
yeah, so they may switch to a doubleheader on Sunday or bump up Saturday's game. Who knows?
So, um, meanwhile, on the other diamond, Michael, Redditor softball, 36-10, 16-2. They dropped another Big 12 game. Only 2 games on the season. 16-2. They did sweep Houston. And they took on Arizona, second place in the conference, number 13 ranked Arizona, who are 36-7, 13-5. They handed you one of your conference losses, but you won the series 2-1. Sole possession, Michael, of first place. 16 wins to 2 losses. Moved up in the rankings from 14 to 12. You are playing tomorrow, Wednesday, versus UT Arlington, and then Arizona State, third place in the Big 12 this weekend.
Yeah, Arizona State no slouch either. 13-8 in the conference, 33-16. I think winning this series. I haven't done that. I have not done the math, but I think winning this series would clinch the Big 12 title for the Red Raiders. And Spencer, I got to tell you, I caught some softball on Friday night. Nope, that was the only one I missed. Thursday night and Saturday. Softball's exciting.
I watched some softball.
It is quick, man.
It would have been the weekend they played Houston. Yeah, no. So
it is fast. There is that ball hits and it is in play before you know it, and that just the compactness. I'm just saying super obvious things that everyone's like, yeah, I know what softball is, but the size of the field and how much they lead off the bag, and I was surprised at how
None.
many steals. Yeah, but there were still some steals that would come up here and there, and some, one of our runners got picked at second base. The catcher got her, and I mean it's fast paced. I don't know. I do like the pitch clock for baseball. That's sped up things for non baseball romantists like myself. But man, there's something about softball too. That's crazy. 7 innings, games like an hour and 45 minutes sometimes.
And I say this not to throw shade at the game of softball, but if you're familiar with Little League baseball in terms of field dimensions, they're the same.
Sure.
60-foot base paths, 43 feet on the mound.
And then you've got D1 athletes hitting hitting balls in that same space. I mean, it's
Yeah,
gonna
that ball
get interesting real
moves.
quick.
Ball boogies. Texas Tech has 2, 4, 6, still has 8 batters hitting over 300. We talked about this last time. Nigel Kennedy is 8th on that list, hitting 311. Has only 61 at bats, but 19 hits, 6 home runs. 6 of her 19 hits, Michael, are home runs. 1 out of every 3 hits leaves the yard. But then you got like Maya Davis with a team leading 165 at bats, has the second highest batting average, 370. Reagan Jennings leads the team at 385. Lauren Allred, 358 with 120 at bats. Alexa Langoliers also has 120 at bats at 333. Haley Toney has 137 at bats, batting 314. Like, they're just ridiculous. It's fast, like you said. Lots of action. I don't know enough about the game of softball to tell you specifics on pitching. I can tell you that you're able to pitch more pitches, throw more pitches, last longer in games, go back to back, you can pitch all weekend almost if you wanted to, because of the reduced stress on your arm as opposed to a baseball throw. Which means you need, well, sorry, I don't mean like you need fewer, but if you have, you don't need as deep of a pitching rotation or bullpen that you see in baseball.
Yeah, I think Kennedy pitched in all 3 games over the weekend. I don't think she started all 3, but she did pitch in them.
See, okay, to my point, Michael, you've thrown 5 pitchers all year.
That's insane.
You've used 5 pitchers. You will use 5
Tadlock
pitchers.
will do that in 2 innings.
Yeah, you'll roll through 5 pitchers. Nobody has an ERA over 4. Samantha Lincoln has the highest at 380. She is 7-2 on the season. Nigel Kennedy, 19-5. So she's started 22 games. Michael, how many games has Texas Tech won?
Oh, baseball 13?
No.
Oh, 36.
So she's pitched in 27 of the 36 games.
Mm-hmm.
Started 22 of them. Is 19-5. Has a WHIP of 0.72, ERA of 0.83, 14 complete games, 144 innings pitched. Opponents are batting 157 against her. It's wild. Chloe Riasetto has 24 appearances in 12 starts, 263. Like I said earlier about Samantha Lincoln, 20 games, 9 starts, 380 ERA. Brinley Gonzalez has 10 appearances, only 1 start, but a 217 ERA. And Bailey Lindemuth, only 3 appearances. So really, if you're going out to watch Texas Tech softball, you're probably going to see Nigel Kennedy or Chloe Riasetto. Maybe Samantha Lincoln. But Brinley Gonzalez and Bailey Lindemuth have combined for 13 games and 3 starts. But even then, Michael, their ERAs are 2.17 for Gonzalez and 2.55 for Lindemuth. Team ERA of 194.
Did you see how Texas Tech won on Saturday?
No, but I will go look up the schedule right now.
So it was tied 2-2. Top of the 6th. Texas Tech's up to bat. They get a runner on due to a throwing error, and then Langoliers flies out, and then Allred steps up to the plate. Home run, I think on the second pitch. And so 2-run homer, up 4-2. Next batter flies out. So 2 batters after home run number 1 is home run number 2 by Elder. It's a it's a solo shot, but Texas Tech scored 3 runs on 2 home runs in the top of the 6th. And I can't remember Arizona's pitcher, but she was dealing. She was absolutely dealing up until that point, and then she gave up 2 home runs and 3 at bats. So she was taken out of the game after that, and then that was all she wrote. No one else scored after that. I think it got close. There were some runners left on base. I think Kennedy had some. She kind of had some control issues here and there, but she was pretty top notch in that game at least. But man, it was kind of a nail biter, and then all of a sudden you hit 2 home runs and get 3 across, and you feel like, okay, well, and the pitcher that's been just kicking your tail all night is out of the game.
Devin Netz was the
She was
pitcher,
good.
the starter for Arizona. 17-5 on the season.
Yeah,
You got a complete game from Kennedy. 7 full innings, 5 hits, 2 runs that were earned, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts. Faced 30 batters, 11 groundouts, 7 flyouts, 138 pitches thrown. Oh, look, my wife is telling me that we forgot to call my mom. Whoops. We were supposed to call my mom after Grayson's game tonight. Sorry, Mom. It happens. We'll call you later.
that does happen.
It's just we have a hard time keeping things in our brain, Michael.
I can imagine.
She texts us on our way into the baseball game. Hey, call me when you're done. Then, I mean,
Yeah,
almost 2 hours later, we're leaving. Like,
wrangle 3 kids for 2 hours outside, and then then you record a podcast. Yeah, it happens. I understand.
All right, let's get to questions and wrap up with what we learned.
Okay.
All right, I wish I was prepared for this. I don't have the cup with me, but Michael, you remember the fine dining establishment on Slide just south of 82nd called Rib Crib?
Yes, where Capital Pizza currently resides.
Same building, same layout and everything. They changed nothing about that restaurant.
I don't think so.
Except
either.
they now
The
serve,
smell.
Yeah, they now serve pizza instead of barbecue.
Yeah.
I have 3 to-go cups, and they weren't like the traditional to-go cups. Like it was like a legit plastic cup that they just put one of those to-go lids on top of. 2 orange and 1 green. Michael, that restaurant's been out of business for forever. And the printing on those cups still going strong. I use these cups almost daily. I've talked about I like to get one of those commemorative cups at stadiums when we go to the games, especially if we're going to like a non-familiar or non-regular location for us. So like when I went to the game in Phoenix at Chase Field, I got a cup.
Oh,
when
sure.
When we went to Safeco in Seattle, I got a cup. I have not been to a game at Globe Life. I would get one there, but I have previous Rangers cups and little Fry helmets. I have those. So I like that. But like, man, these Rib Curb cups, man, they're the right size. They hold enough beverage. Like you can pour a full 12-ounce can of beverage of choice into it. But if you're drinking like a soda, it's got still enough room in the cup. You can have it on ice and have the entire drink in there. Sturdy enough. It doesn't crinkle. It's also short. It's stupid to have a favorite plastic cup.
Yeah, you were very very specific on your question. What's your favorite souvenir / restaurant plastic cup that you keep around?
Well, okay. Do you keep cups like that?
Okay, we do. So in the house are the staples, the standbys, of Rudy's. Got a few Rudy's cups floating around. We've got a few Steak Express floating around, and those typically end up in the bathrooms for like, because people with hair apparently, I've heard this, I've read this in magazines. If you're taking a bath and you want to like wash your hair or something, or you want to rinse it out, you you use a cup sometimes to get the water over your head, or get it out of the faucet or
Sure.
whatever. There's I don't ask questions of the women in the house. I just see these cups next to the bathtubs, and I'm like, okay, they're doing something with them. But there are a handful that I have kept in the drinking, in the actual drinking cabinet. I think one of them is a random barbecue place in Grapevine. I think it's called Meet You Anywhere, and it's a black cup, and I just really liked it. And then the other two is the Texas Bowl, when Tech beat the crap out of Lane Kiffin a few years ago. I've got that one. And then a few friends and I went to San Antonio this was probably 2010, Spencer, or 2011. I can't remember. I should know this, but LeBron was still on the Heat.
Ooh.
Duncan was on the Spurs. Uh, we went and watched the Spurs play, so I've got 2 or 3 cups from that game, because I think I kind of stole the other guys. But the strange thing is, I don't really use them. I have like I really like glasses and mugs as far as using, but as far as keeping, those are the 2 most valuable ones to me, are the ones from that Spurs game so many years ago, and then the Texas Bowl.
Yeah. So Rib Crib closed in July of 2017.
8 years strong, brother. At least.
And here's the thing: when we
You may have
went,
broken it in before that.
well, yeah, no. When we went, okay, so we went with Samantha's brother, and his wife, and their family, when they were still living in town. I think he just celebrated like 11 years at his job in the Metroplex, because it was their choice for us to go there. So it's probably been a cool 11, 12 years I've had these cups, which means
good.
they've gone from Lubbock to Hobbs and back. We've moved.
Oh,
with
that's
them.
right. You took them to New Mexico with you.
And now they've been in this. We've been in 3 different houses.
You packed them 4 or 5 times now,
They've
and
survived.
and said, "Well, obviously we're keeping this.
These Rib Crib cups, man.
We're going to keep the yes, absolutely we are. Put it in the box."
Other restaurant cups I have the barbecue place in the DFW airport that I rave about, Cousins Barbecue.
Mm.
I kept one of their cups. Um, Blue Sky. I have a Blue Sky cup. I have Buns Over Texas cup. No, sorry, not Blue Sky, because Blue Sky has the styrofoam
I
cup.
think they have styrofoam, don't they? Yeah.
Buns Over Texas. I have a Buns Over Texas cup. And Rangers. I've got quite a few Rangers. Well, and then also the Texas Tech Stadium or Arena cups that everybody knows about. But
Yeah, I somehow don't have any Texas Tech cups,
when
except the Texas Bowl.
yeah, when they were going through and like redesigning those cups every year, it's like we need to get a new cup. I don't think they do a whole lot of redesign on those cups anymore. But
I mean, I have
it's like,
Texas
I
Tech.
want 1,000,000 of those cups, so we'll
Yes.
stop reordering.
I just never think about it. I don't. Well, I guess it's just because I don't use them that much. Usually when I'm like I've got my trusty Whataburger Yeti. So most of the time at home, I'm either drinking water or coffee, or if I'm having beer or like a mixed drink or something, then I have special glasses for those, obviously. So if it's just water, it's usually that Yeti or one of my Tervises. I've got a couple of those. And then if it's coffee though, oh man, I have a rotation, brother. We have way too many mugs, but we love them all. I don't know if we could ever get rid of any of them. We just use them until they break.
For a family that doesn't drink any coffee, we have an obscene amount of mugs.
We drink an obscene amount of coffee, and therefore we feel entitled to treating ourselves with mugs. We'll buy them, just
Like
knowing that it's like there's three levels in the cabinet, and then each level has 2 levels of mugs on them.
And
It's
probably at least a couple rows deep.
yeah. Oh yes, yeah. At least 3 or 4 rows deep. Gosh, if you just do that quick math, let's see. 4 times 4. Yep. We're looking at, we've got at least 25 floating around.
Easy.
I bet. Yeah.
Easy. We probably have a dozen. Like I said, we don't drink coffee. We have mugs on hand for the 2 or 3 cups of hot chocolate or hot cider we have a year. Samantha will make a cup of tea
Oh yeah.
once or twice a year. Like
Well, we have some we
could
use just for tea.
we could get away with a mug, one singular mug, but we have a cabinet of them. It's one of those things.
Share a mug.
All right. All right, let's wrap this up with what do we learn?
Okay.
What did we learn, Palmer?
I don't know, sir.
I don't know either.
I don't know either. You know, I could have played the questions intro, but I'm just so used to just rolling in. It's like, we don't have time for this. I don't want to get into that. Or I want to update it. Or it'll be quick. All right, what did we learn? Michael, let's start lawn equipment review, and then wrap up with food, because that's where we're at.
Okay, so I've gone into, when we last recorded, I talked a little bit about my 40-volt neon equipment from the Orange Home Improvement store.
No free ads. The very definition, no free ads.
No free ads. And I'm quite enamored. I'm quite pleased. So I used when we last talked, I had just used the standalone edger, and I enjoyed it so much I missed tip off of the
right.
basketball game.
Was it the Elite Eight game against Florida?
Yes, it was.
Joined the yard work so much.
Yeah, it was a problem.
Missed some of Texas Tech's last game.
But anyway, since then I've completely mowed and edged and weed eated the yard twice. I believe I'm in love.
Hold on. You've mowed twice since the Elite Eight?
Yeah.
I've mowed twice this week.
The last 2 Wednesdays. Whether it needed it or not, Spencer.
How do you not need it more than... I don't get it. We live like
Bermuda.
2 miles apart.
Well, I'm telling you, my yard is one of the best looking ones in the neighborhood right now. Everybody else's is pretty rough. I don't know what they're doing.
I have Bermuda too.
You should drive by my house. You'll be like, man, cream of the crop over here on the corner.
Maybe I have to interrupt there. We said we were supposed to exchange food, didn't we?
We're supposed to exchange food?
There was something we talked about. It's now been a couple weeks.
Oh, I kind of remember that now. Like some desserts or something.
Yeah, but I couldn't tell you what it was.
Gosh.
Was it our chocolate chip cookie or?
Well, you gave us
chocolate.
Maybe so. Maybe we were going to do that. What was our offering going to be?
I don't remember.
Oh, maybe we were going to do a chocolate chip cookie swap.
Exchange? A cookie exchange?
I don't remember.
Anyways.
So the mower, it takes 2 batteries.
Okay.
I completely mowed the lawn twice on 1 charge. And I probably could have done a third, but I felt like it would have been really frustrating if I'd have been in the alley, which is the thing I always do last, and it just just conks out on me or something. So I charged it after that. But I got 2 full mows, and that's using the self-propelled part of it here and there. And it's just, you don't have to yank a cord. You just push a button and it turns on. The self-propelled part, I've used it a lot more than I thought I would. It is really heavy. It's I think it's heavier than a gas mower. It's a clunky thing to kind of shove around. So that self-propelled really helps. That'd be my one negative on it. Love the weed eater. Weed eater's fantastic. It's so nice not having to fight my other one and start it 15 times,
Sure.
Because I bag the lawn too. So it's not like I start it and then I just run it until I'm done mowing. you're starting and stopping it 4 or 5 times. Now the mower was always easier to start, but even just cutting that out of it has made life easier. But I swear it my routine, the mowing itself takes almost the exact time it did before, which is not,
It's to be
that
expected. Yeah, sure.
yeah, that's to be expected. It takes what it took before. But the edging and the weed eating, that having a real life edger, Spencer, that is such a game changer. I feel like that's shaved like 30 minutes off my entire lawn time, not having to fight that damned weed eater that I had before, and that edger attachment that never worked like it was supposed to, and you had to like walk backwards, even though that was dumb and that's not how you're supposed to do it. But if you walked forwards, it would just be like a fish trying to swim away from a predator. There, you just weren't going to get anywhere. But
Nice.
the edger attachment, man, you just cruise right along. You press a button, it's on. You take your time. It's got 3 wheels. You don't have to like worry about it doing something dumb on you. Oh man, I swear.
I have the we talked about this. I have the edger attachment to my gas trimmer. So it does take a couple minutes to switch over from weed eater to edger.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but there have been times, like I edge probably every other time,
Right, right.
and
Yeah.
even then there are times where like I don't know how it happens, how it builds up so quickly. It's like, man, I edging every time would be overkill, but there are sometimes like every other time it's like this was not frequently enough.
Yeah.
I'm digging out like a bucket of dirt and
Yes.
I've got grass going halfway across the sidewalk. That's not true, but it feels that way. I don't ever let it get like where there's no line anymore, but it's nice
know.
having a dedicated edger. I kind of wish I had the two separate, but then I was like, I don't really need 2 different engines to keep up with. It's,
But when they're electric, you
well,
just turn it
sure.
on.
You still got to move a battery.
It's true. It's true. But I've got 3 batteries, and so the
Mm.
mower has to take 2 of them. And then when I'm done mowing, I've I've got 2 other tools I need to use. So I put one battery, one of the 6 milliamp hour or 6 amp hour batteries into the edger, and then I put the 4. I've got one 4 amp hour battery that I put into the weed eater, because man, if you put that 6 amp hour, that is,
You flying?
yeah, well, you're just lugging it around. It's just heavy.
Oh,
That's my one complaint is, like I said, this stuff's just kind of surprisingly heavy. But I have enjoyed the transition. Um, we'll see how it keeps going. I think the bag is even bigger than my old mower. I don't feel like I have to empty it as much. I had a pattern with my old mower where I would empty it at certain times, and each time I've done it so far, the bag hasn't been full or even acting like it's full yet. And so I may need to adjust that, and that'll probably speed up my time not
yeah.
emptying it as much.
Empty it less often. Yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
frequently.
So we're just rocking and rolling. And what's the
Well,
other thing I like about it too is my mower. Um, I can fold the arm down, and because it's electric, I just tilt the whole thing up and push it up against the wall, so it takes up way less room in the garage.
I know not every mower can do that, but mine can. I just don't. I don't store it that way. Like it can be stored, like fold the arm down and then stand it up. It's built in such a way that it won't leak on itself. But it is nice to have that capability if you need the
Yes.
space or want the space.
Well, and it was
I don't
nice
like to
to.
fight. I've got the mower out in the shed, and I'm just like, I have space
Oh
for it.
yeah,
I'm not gonna
if
fuss with it.
yeah, ours is in the garage, and it's right next to where my wife parks. So I try to get it as close to the wall as I can. And so
Look out.
this is yeah, this has been much better.
Yeah.
No one needs to know why the wheel on the last mower, how it got bent.
No one needs to know.
No one needs to know that.
All right, Easter was Sunday, Michael. A time to meet with family to celebrate, um, but also just to indulge in a good old family meal.
Yes.
And it's one of those ones where you can tend to overindulge. I'll tell you our menu. If you tell me yours,
Oh, sure.
was traditional.
Okay.
Well,
You go. Yeah, you go first. I feel like I've been talking a lot. You go first.
it was a traditional Southern. I'll just say like it was a spiral cut honey ham
Mm.
type thing. glazed ham, mashed potatoes, a broccoli cheese casserole,
Playing the hits, man.
whole mess of deviled eggs. So somebody it was funny. It was the smallest dish, but it was like a green mixed salad, which was actually really good. It had like some nuts in it, had raisins in it, lots of fresh cut veggies. It was a good salad, but like it was funny. It was like the smallest bowl of all the things. We had somebody bring a big thing of Hawaiian rolls, and I had a church men's group activity Friday night. It was okay. It was advertised as a fish fry for Good Friday. I'm not a fish person. I was like, you know what? I'm for whatever reason I've been wanting to try fish and
Unless it's
seafood.
raw. If it
Okay,
was sushi, you'd be
I
all
eat
about it.
sushi. Yeah, I ate sushi.
I know. That's what's so strange.
But I went there. I was expecting battered and fried fish, and there was not a single piece of fried fish at a fish fry. I was like, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
Absolutely.
Okay, but to that event, I took cornbread muffins and then a Texas Roadhouse cinnamon butter.
Oh, get out of here.
I had leftover butter, so I brought that to dinner Sunday, which went really well on the Hawaiian rolls.
The
Sweet
Hawaiian.
rolls with it was a dessert at that point. Oh my goodness! And then Samantha's younger brother's been making this bacon jelly jam thing. Oh, so good. It like he typically brings it to put over like cream cheese and put that on a cracker, but also as a topping or like a not a garnish, but like a dressing to pork.
Oh yeah, that would be good.
I mean, bacon and then a sweet sauce. So anyways, that was it. We had ourselves a good Easter dinner. And then this whatever, her parents have been like this banana pudding kick lately. So we had a big thing of banana pudding. And then we brought a, a, a a whole bunch of those little bird's nest cookies. They're like the chow mein noodles with the chocolate and peanut butter, and the little
Oh, okay.
egg candy things on top. We ended up making. I think the recipe ended up making like 30 of them, and we brought like 20 of them home. Like, are you kidding me? Need y'all to eat more of this stuff. A good time was had. Easter eggs were hidden and found. Family photos were taken. No lives were lost. It's a good time. What about you? What did you guys have? And
We, it's just our moms here, and so we invited some of our friends that, in case they didn't have any family here or didn't have anything else going, and so we ended up with a house of like 20 something people, including kids, and it was great. I cooked up 12 pounds of fajitas.
that's a lot of fajitas, man.
We were moving. we were moving. And in retrospect, it was too much.
Yeah.
But in our defense, the way they packaged the chicken, so we had a 2 4-pound package of the pre-marinated chicken breast fajitas at HEB. So we got two of those, and then we got 2 beef, and the beef, of course, are closer to 2 pounds each. So 8 pounds of chicken, 4 pounds of beef. The beef was all gone, except for like 5 pieces. But we had a lot of chicken left. So in retrospect, you're like, So we've been eating chicken fajitas for 4 days.
That sounds fantastic, though.
I asked my wife about it tonight. I'm like, are you tired of these yet? And she's like, no. She kind of gave me like the most ridiculous, like that was such a ridiculous question to ask.
How could you even ask that?
Well, and because every time I do it, I'm like, well, I've got this hot sauce in the fridge or in the fridge or in the cabinet or whatever. Well, I'll put this on this fajita, or I'll try this hot sauce. Oh, we've got some salsa, or oh, we got some queso left, or shredded cheese, or I'm always just kind of just mixing it up just enough. So anyway, we made a bunch of fajitas. So we did fajitas and queso chips. My mom brought this Texas caviar from Perini's. It's a thing in Perini's cookbook where it's like black beans and really finely chopped bell pepper and corn.
It's a corn and black bean salsa type thing.
Yeah, but it's I don't know if I'd call it a salsa because she makes it in a way where it's just kind of a side. It's like it could be used for anything. I mean, people dip chips in it. You just eat it with a spoon, whatever. It's
Yeah,
not
it's
like
like
overwhelming.
corn, peppers, beans, onions.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
The one I'm looking at. I'm not saying that's what she made, but okay.
And then yeah, so we had that. Allison tried this really cool recipe with oh man, it was bizarre, and we told everyone we were doing it. Jalapeno poppers, but they were stuffed with a cream cheese peanut butter mixture.
Never heard of a cream cheese peanut butter.
She somehow found them and just thought we're going to try it, and it'll be what it'll be. People can be on board and just give it a shot. We had like one person, I think, say that they liked it. Everyone else, even me, I had one bite of it and thought, I can't. That's we're good. So it was a mixture of cream cheese and peanut butter, stuffed into the half, the half sliced jalapeno, and then you're supposed to bake it at 400. And in her defense, our oven has been on the fritz, and so it would not preheat. So we had to put it on the smoker where I had the chicken going, and the smoker was at like 325 at best. So that probably didn't help.
Sure.
And then once you pull it off, you drizzle it with honey and feta cheese. And so
Okay.
it is. I don't know if we'll ever do it again.
I'm moving further away from trying this.
Yes. I feel like I could see her experimenting one more time with a really small batch and just putting some in the air fryer just to see what happens with just us. But it was more of just kind of for the fun of it and just to see. But gosh, we had all that to eat, and then my mom also brought her blueberry banana cream pie.
Oh, that sounds way too good.
Oh, it is, brother. I mean, she only does it like once a year, and I don't ask for it because I don't want, I like that it's kind of like a novel thing. And so when she said she was bringing that out, I was just thrilled. And then,
is it like a cream cheese pie?
yes,
Okay.
it's got like graham cracker crust at the bottom.
Okay.
And so it's like a banana pudding / cream cheese layer on top of that. And then on top of that is a thin layer of like blueberry sauce, blueberry. And then she usually, we grew up with Cool Whip. Cool Whip was in the fridge as much as anything else was. So that's always served with anything sweet that she makes, just about. So you can dollop that on there too. Anyway, everybody tore into that, and one of the kids at the party was asked if she could make that for his birthday. Mom was like, "Sure, yeah, I guess."
I don't know who you are, kid, but yeah, we'll do it.
Yeah, she knew who he was, but yeah, it was funny. He was like, "This is so good. It's could she make this for?" Anyway, so we had a great time too. We did Easter egg. There was a new thing where the wives thought it would be fun to get us all shirts where they Velcro the eggs on the shirts for all the dads.
I vetoed that idea.
Oh man, it was too late. It was in motion. I was peer pressured, and therefore I participated, and it was actually pretty fun. And then after that we did a conventional Easter egg hunt. So there were 2 Easter egg things going on at the house. It was a good time was had by all.
Sounds that way.
You bet.
All right. Well,
Got some fajitas if you want any.
Actually, doesn't sound like that. We're doing the smoked ribs at some point this week.
Rib crib cup.
My rib crib cup. Anyways, that'll do it for us in 23 Personnel Podcast. This will be our schedule going forward unless something changes. So we'll see you in a couple weeks with hopefully some updates to the rosters, baseball to get to. But until then, we'll catch you next time.
Thank you for listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast. Help us out by subscribing, rating the show, and leaving a review. Follow us on Twitter at 23 Personnel, Spencer at PuntSuck, and Michael at Michael_LBK. Be sure to catch the next episode. And until then, guns up and let the tortillas fly.